when we compare both, I suppose, our main gaming companies, the MyWallSt shortlist, Take-Two and Activision Blizzard, they have quite a different strategy in terms of gaming. Activision Blizzard has the likes of, Call of Duty. These are nearly annual games publishing every year, whereas Take-Two has Grand Theft Auto. It also has the likes of Red Dead Redemption. And these are games that come out maybe once a decade or once a half a decade. How do those two differing strategies work for these companies, Emmet?
Well, for start, James, I actually think their fundamental strategies are very, very similar. I did
Okay.
a superb case study, I suppose about 15 or 16 years ago, based on a book called Blue Ocean Strategy by Renee, I think it was Renee Moburn and W. Chan Kim, I think were the authors. And I highly recommend this book to anyone who's interested in investing, which I hope we have a few of. Anyway, the study was on consoles, and specifically the Wii, but it's very relevant to your question. At the time, PlayStation and Xbox were locked in a bloody red ocean battle, selling consoles with the latest multi-core processors and sound cards and whatnot, with these boxes that you plugged into your TV. You sat down on a couch to play with a handheld console that primarily was interacted with via your thumbs to play games, that had the latest Hollywood actors doing the voices in the most beautifully designed characters and imagined scenery and so on. So PlayStation and Xbox were then, and to this day, are in essence the same thing. Then along came Nintendo, who plotted out all the various attributes of gaming and inverted them to their advantage to design a console that you needed to stand up to play, wave your arms around like a fool to control, barely passable graphics with completely crappy design values, but tons of fun. And Nintendo sailed off into the blue ocean of no competition. Well, when you look at Activision and Take-Two, they're the same ilk as Sony and Microsoft in their own parallel industry. You don't buy a game because it was developed by Activision or Take-Two. You buy it because you like it. You want to disappear into Skylanders or into Grand Theft Auto World or wherever. And the characters and backgrounds and, the physics engines for both Activision and Take-Two are of equally impeccable standard. And what's really compelling about Grand Theft Auto, as you rightfully said, is that it recently surpassed 160 million units sold, making it the second highest selling game of all time after Minecraft, which I think shifted like 250 million units or thereabouts. But when we look at the league table of computer game sales, you'll find Grand Theft Auto makes multiple appearances. It's like looking through the best albums or the biggest selling albums of all time. You're going to see a whole pile of Beatles and ABBA and Queen and U2 and whatever. So when you look through the league table, San Andreas is in there at number 27. So, and that's a kind of I think an October 04 game. That was a Grand Theft Auto. And then it's also in place number 34, Grand Theft Auto 4, and so on. So it's safe to say that Grand Theft Auto is not only an important series for Take-Two, but this is a legendary production in the realm of entertainment. And if you played it, you know it, you've seen it, you've lived it, you know that when you're in GTA world, it's something special. But if you have not played Grand Theft Auto, let me describe its, I suppose, fiscal impact beside what IMDb is telling me here in front of me are the top 3 viewed movies of all time. So Titanic is the most viewed movie ever, according to IMDb. It grossed $660 million. E.T. grossed $438 million, and The Wizard of Oz grossed something like $2 million, but it was released 103 years ago. So between these 3 giants of the silver screen, we're talking about the 3 most watched movies ever, and they generated $1.1 billion in revenue. But as you said, since its 2013 release, Grand Theft Auto has generated more than $6.5 billion in revenue. But let me, James, go at it from another angle. Rather than comparing GTA to the most watched movies of all time, I think it's fair to put it beside the highest grossing film of all time, which was Avatar. It made in its entire lifetime value $2.8 billion. Again, completely dwarfed beside GTA's $6.5 billion. And that is why it's an absolute matter of fact, as opposed to opinion, that Grand Theft Auto is the most financially successful media production of all time, which I know is quite amazing if you're not a gamer,
Yeah,
and completely unsurprising if you are. But mark my words, the lifetime value of the GTA franchise is a multiple of what it has generated to date, because computer games of this type, which I suppose you describe as high-end first-person open world
yeah.
games, they
Triple A, I think
evolve
they
with...
call them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. What's that stand for?
I think that's just the standard of those kind of,
Oh, yeah, yeah, right. I
games that
see.
aren't released as
Mm.
often.
Okay, interesting. So they evolve with platforms, and each time there's a release, it creates this beautiful thing called nostalgia that lasts a lifetime. So if there is a strategic difference between Take-Two, it might be that they go into painstaking detail at the
Yeah.
cost of release velocity. But beside Activision, it's the same strategy, James.